Well, my sweets, it is Sunday morning the 28th. Well, Sunday afternoon. About 1 o'clock. Hello, Hagrid. Right now, Tandy is in her box on fakes. I came in this morning and both of them were off the box and the eggs were cold to the touch. So I candled them and found out that there is a developing embryo in at least one egg, and the other egg is preparing for a developing embryo, but the embryo itself hasn't grown yet. And I didn't have the heart to leave them out here with their parents chased off of them constantly. So Tandy is on fakes right now. Hopefully by the time her eggs are ready to hatch, Vincent and Ellie will have settled down into their nest, feel they have made their point, and Tandy will still be able to produce milk. Excuse me. If not, well, honestly, the only way I'm going to get any practice raising hatchlings is if I practice raising hatchlings. So let's see if I can get the calibration for shit right. Vinny still has a pretty serious vendetta, because Emilio won't stop harassing his wife and trying to claim his nests when he's off of his own. Tandy is bound and determined to sit when it's her turn. So I'm just gonna keep letting her. Vinny's trying to drive his wife a little more roughly because, well, that's a turn on for Ellie and for most hens. He's been treading her often enough this week that she should be getting ready to lay eggs any day now. Good Lord! What? Has he just been starting shit with all of you while I've been going? Like 2 boys ran in to break that up. Good luck, buddy. Yeah, her potential adoption failed before it could even start. They were angry that I pointed out pigeons can't digest vegetation and should really only be fed seeds. It's counterintuitive because that's bad for practically every other type of bird. But pigeons and ringneck doves are the exception. Even other dove species need a wider variety of things in their diet. Like, there are the Columbidae, which are primarily granivore, and there are the Columbinae, which are the fruit pigeons. But there are even birds among the Columbidae that need things like insects. Mourning doves in particular. I do not know if Eurasian collared doves do or not. I'm not as familiar with them. But when I used to rehab mourning doves, oh, Papillon, hi precious. I used to have to go to the reptile section of pet stores and buy freeze-dried fruit flies or crickets, and I have a little miniature coffee grinder that I would grind those up into powder with, and that would be mixed in with the Squeakers formula, and then later dusted over its seeds, so that the Squeakers would not be malnourished, because their nutritional needs are different from a pigeon's. You really cannot go from what you know off other birds to pigeons, because pigeons are so different. Like if you already have bird experience and you're looking to get a pigeon, you kind of need to forget everything you knew. Because the only thing pigeons have in common with them is hollow bones and feathers. They're even drastically different from the closely related ringneck doves, which are the small domesticated dove species. Ringneck doves are entirely antisocial. They form pair bonds with their mate exclusively. They do not bond with their children. As soon as their children are weaned, their parents chase them out, or attempt to chase them out. God forbid they're caged together. You'll usually see what looks like sort of a flock dynamic. But if you understand bird behavior, then you become aware that the younger generation is just cowed. Like, they are suffering from a combination of learned helplessness and shutdown. So ringnecks, if you understand rescues having to keep a group of ringneck doves together for the short term, because most of them just don't have enough cages to keep pairs separated, and they're absolute hell to sex. When they're little, 4 months and younger, they can get along together okay, but once they hit 4 to 6 months, they're going to start mercilessly attacking each other. And if you are planning to keep them long term, you really, really need to separate them out into one enclosure per pair. It does not matter how many pair you have. It does not matter how many nest boxes you have for ringneck doves. If the pairs can make physical contact with anyone other than their mate, they will constantly attack it. It doesn't matter how many nest boxes you have, there is only one best nest, and they all want that one. Ringneck doves are viciously territorial and completely antisocial. They do pair bond for life, but they don't even have a concept of friend that is not my mate. Pigeons, on the other hand, don't just flock like parrots do. They live in a cooperative colony year-round. They are not just a bunch of breeding pairs that all happen to use the same space. They are a bunch of breeding pairs that communicate with each other. Most of them are related. They vote on what they do as a group whenever they leave the loft. The bird in charge in the loft is just the biggest, baddest, and most capable of defending his nest. And then the second biggest and baddest and most capable of defending his nest. And so on down the line. As they work out their place in the once they work out their place in the hierarchy, peace reigns. Because everybody knows who's stronger than them, who's weaker than them, who they can and can't defend against, where they can and can't defend. So, once the biggest, strongest, and baddest make their permanent nest selections and settle in, everybody along the chain underneath them can do the same. They can make their decision and settle in, and then the next one down can make their decision and settle in. And one of the things that we study here is social dynamic. Like, that's the thing that we most intensely study, is social dynamic as individuals develop, as the flock physically and mentally develops. And because we keep a very small number, we only have comfortable space for 10 breeding pairs at any given time. We get to see what happens when older birds leaving opens up a power vacuum. So all of our oldest and highest ranking have retired and gone to their new homes, which leaves a bunch of nest spaces open. Oh, Gus. Oh, Gus. Nobody is allowed in Gus's spot. That's Papillon's box. You know, when Vinny can let her have it. Nobody really contests Silk and Sony's or Pippin and Cookies. Sissy has tried to contest Pippin and Cookies, but the way it's set up, he can't comfortably land there. So it's really easy for Pippin to topple him. Pippin is a particularly vigilant little cock, so anybody attempting to get in gets thrown out. Pretty much on contact with his front door. They never really get a chance to go in and throw him out. And I forgot where I was going. Saying something about watching power dynamics get filled. Bliss. Hello. Oh, so for those genetics buffs out there, we did a little more looking. And it looks like, bless you, it looks like Hagrid is an almond bar. Like, just an almond bar. Almond apparently shows up best on a checker or T-pattern bird, because there's more dark for the patches to show up on. Without that, and without a single dose of recessive red, you get a bird that's mostly white with just a couple, 2 or 3 flags. Now, I still haven't figured out what Hagrid's base color is, because we've only got the one child out of her. We've got Cody, who is blue. And Almond being sex-linked and dominant, they are not sex-linked by their base color, they're sex-linked by the fact that Hagrid is... Oh, hello, Puddin'. That Hagrid is almond. So any almonds out of that pairing are male, and any non-almonds are female. Hey, Sissy. Cody ended up being Qualmond. And, oh, are we getting ready to lay soon? Getting ready to lay soon, or have we laid already? I haven't looked yet. And I don't want to bother her right now. It'd be a terrible shame to bother her when she's so cozy. Pigeons that don't feel comfortable and safe will usually abort their eggs before they get to the developmental point of building up a shell. They actually don't build up a shell until the last 24 hours. That's what takes so long between eggs. There's only enough space in their little body to produce one egg at once, or one shell at once. So they may have the sperm and zygote, or the sperm and egg cell, inside for a good little while. I'll put it. Well, it's 7 days from sex to fertile egg, so they have it in there for 7 days, and it's only on, or for 6 days without a shell, and it's only on 5 days without a shell. It's only on day 6 that the shell develops, and on day 7 it's laid. So the second egg comes along after the first one, 24 to 36 hours later, depending on how long it takes that second shell to develop. Hi, Vinny. Tandy is still sitting the fakes right now. And I may or may not take some quick Instagram videos inside so that you guys can see the eggs in the incubator. My little bitty tiny egg housing seems to be missing, so there are just 2 pigeon eggs sitting in a chicken egg sized hole. Being very gently, very carefully rolled. I'll have to find where I put that equipment. My sister-in-law's been hatching chickens 3 at a time out of it for quite a while. Ow! Hi, Cookie. Cookie just flailed her way up my arms. All claws. All the time. Lily, what are you doing? Your wife's not in that box. Look at his little wife. Hunkered down in that little nest cup she made. Betty and Hagrid have officially left their box now that the egg is gone. They will hopefully be trying again soon. I have to give Hagrid some recovery time before she's ready to restart the process. Hi, Silk. Silk is up there either calling Sony or dancing with Sony. Although I think that's Sony over there. Is that Sony? Or is that Mia? Oh, that's that Mia. So Sony must be in the box with him. I can't actually see and don't want to get up because there is a Hagrid in my lap. Hi, Hagrid. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Vinny's got to challenge Betty, because Betty previously had been one of the biggest, baddest boys. And now Vinny's starting to realize he's a grown-ass man. Emilio used to be one of the highest ranking, most untouchable cocks here, because he was just so overwhelmingly aggressive that he took most entirely by surprise. Well, Vinny is as tenacious and aggressive as Emilio. So, Emilio trying to start shit with everybody kind of came back and bit him in the ass. Well, folks, it's getting to be close to sign-off time. Check out the Ramsey Loft on Instagram to see our briefer pictures of the babies being handled and getting their little 1-minute health checks. And videos of the incubator inside, as well as Bird's new setup. It's looking very much like Bird Bird is a failed foster and is just going to become a Ramsey house pet. I don't even know who that is yelling. Anyway, in addition to our clients, adopters, and potential apprentices, I would like to thank our subscribers here on YouTube, our patrons on Patreon, the friends of our business page on Facebook, and our followers on Tumblr, Instagram, and Twitter for your contributions, both financial and intellectual, which keep this project going and help it develop further. Hey, buddy. Benny's such a good boy when he's not being a bastard. Hi, Pippin. Hey, buddy. Oh, what a contented Pippin. You can see his little forehead fluff. That's a happy boy. It's an expression of supreme contentment in birds. God bless them. And good a bird. All right, my loves. And with that, I will see you all tomorrow after the loft is cleaned.